Hey there, Max and Lily. Lily and Max, this is Andrew. If you can see through my beekeeping veil, my busted one that I probably should replace. I am here to give you a little science field trip, digital science field trip. We are going to be installing bees into a new beehive. So there are different ways for beekeepers to get bees. Um, my favorite way is to catch swarms. In fact, Melissa and I just caught a swarm yesterday. And what that means is I find a big, a big clump of bees hanging out usually on a tree, and I rehouse them. I get a box, and I end up capturing them and putting them in the box. So I want to show you the box first, and today I'm going to open up the box and drop the clump of bees. It's going to be like 5,000 or 6,000 bees, and I'm going to put them in this hive where they're going to start making wax, and they're going to start going to flowers and drinking nectar and turning it into honey, and then they're gathering pollen, and they're going to feed the pollen to their young, and the queen is going to start laying eggs. Anyway, it's a really cool life in the beehive, and I'd love to tell you guys more about it. But for now, we're gonna prep everything. This here is the box that the bees are in. This here is lemongrass oil. So beekeepers like to do a lot of things to make certain that the bees want to stay in their hive, and one of them is bait them with smells that they like. Bees really like the smell of lemongrass oil. So if your mom or your folks have this in the kitchen, see if they've got it and you can get a whiff of it. If you don't know what lemongrass smells like, they use lemongrass essence in the flavor for Fruit Loops, so it smells a little bit like Fruit Loops. It's one of the reasons I like it so much. A little bit like Apple Jacks too, less appley. Okay, I'm gonna put a drop or so in the hive, just a little bit. It's so strong of a smell that you don't need much, just a drop, and it's really strong. So I'm gonna cut open this box, and you'll see this tiny little clump of bees. It's gonna look, yeah, like a clump, and you'll have to look kind of close. I'll try to get this really close to the screen to see that it's populated with beautiful little insects. So one of the funny things about capturing a swarm is to get it in there, to get the bees in there, you're gonna have to drop them in, and it means I'm gonna have to shake them in. Now, a bee shake looks kind of crazy because it's just a big clump of bees that falls down. But they're so used to moving around, and their exoskeletons are so strong that a drop like that won't do much to bother them in the long run. All right, so there, let's see, I'll get a little close, and you're gonna see they even built some wax already. That is a swarm in a box. Look at all of those bees. So this wax here, they've only been in there for one day, but they have little spaces between their scales on their bellies, and they start making little wax flakes coming out of the space between those scales. And then as they're hanging here, they're holding onto each other's backs. You can see I can even swing it a little bit. And they're just holding onto each other, and the ones at the top get the wax flakes from everybody else handed to them, and they start fashioning this comb. So we're gonna get these bees out. Fortunately, they didn't make a lot of comb, so it's okay if they start from scratch in the new hive. Now, if you guys got questions, please make some comments on the YouTube video, or we can even have like a little FaceTime thing later and talk about bees, and I'll bring the camera out and we can look inside some hives, which I like doing anytime. So if you guys ever want to watch it, I'll answer as many questions as you have about bees. I could talk about bees all day long. They're so cool. All right, so in my hand here, I'm just grabbing some of these bees. I'm gonna drop them into the hive, going really slow, and it feels kind of like a liquid, like a thick liquid, like slime. So they kind of stay in your hand. I'm just gonna gently drop them in. Try to preserve the comb, and I'll show you in close-up once I get all these bees out.
Okay, here's my favorite part.
Take a look at all those ladies.
Now, the coolest thing about bees, I like, is that people think of them as stinging all the time. Honeybees are more interested in their activities because they work so hard. Their first job is to, well, do the work of the hive. Either it's gathering nectar from flowers, or cleaning up the hive, or just kind of grooming each other. So if they're in a situation where they're all together like this, they're rarely interested in stinging. Now take a look here. This is one of the coolest things they do. See how they're sticking their behinds up in the air? We call this fanning. What they're doing right now is they're sticking up in the air the end of their bee butts, which has a little gland called the Nazanov gland, named after some Russian guy that discovered it. And they release a pheromone, which is a strong smelling essence that tells the other bees where to land. So these bees were part of the hive, and they're part of a tight clump. So they think that they're City Hall, that they're bee central. So they're using their little behinds to tell all the bees this is where they think they should land. Well, I'm going to change their minds and put them in the colony right there. Again, that's called fanning. And anytime you capture a swarm, you're going to see a bunch of bees sticking their butts up in the air. It's hilarious. I've got some slow-mo videos of it. All right. So I'm going to remove this comb. Drop that, get the bees off of it. And check this out. So, see how white this comb is? This is freshly made comb. They've fashioned this from those wax flakes just in one night, in about 24 hours. All right. And that dark stuff there, that is pollen they already collected. They collect it on their legs, they fly it in, and they crunch it into these spaces. Over time, the pollen gets to ferment. It kind of changes a little bit, the way that miso is fermented, or alcoholic drinks are fermented. It ferments a little bit, and it makes it easier for them to eat. And we call it bee bread. So this is pollen. It'll turn into bee bread eventually. I'm going to hold on to this because they're going to build plenty of comb in this new hive. And if you guys want it, just to hold on to it, I'll hold it on until I get to see you guys next. There's a few bees on here. All right, so the rest of these ladies, there's still some up here. Oh, there's tons of little other bits of comb. Let's get real close. There's other little bits of comb in there. And I wouldn't be surprised if the queen is still in there. So I'm going to have to do a big shake to loosen the bees up and then drop them into the hive. These other bits of comb, wow, these are really, really, really busy bees. Really successful, hard workers. Actually, I want to show you one other thing. See all those little flakes? It looks like dandruff. Those are some of the wax flakes that dropped off their bellies and they accidentally didn't grab them, so they fell to the bottom. That's what those wax flakes look like. Let's see how close we can get. I have no idea if this is in focus, you guys. But there's other cool bees sticking their butts up in the air. And there's a bee that's walking on the camera right now. They're just the coolest. All right. So I'm going to do a shake. I'm going to try to make sure that no bees get injured. But here's the thing. In every colony, there's between 5,000 and 60,000 bees. And 1,000 bees are born every day. Which means that 1,000 bees die every day, just of natural causes. So beekeepers try their best not to accidentally squish or injure a bee, but when there's 1,000 dying a day, if we accidentally squish one or two, it's not a big deal and the colony is going to be fine. Still kind of stinks and beekeepers do their best not to, but it's kind of the equivalent of pulling a few leaves off of a tree. It's the colony is going to be just fine. In fact, sometimes they need bees to die so that they don't have too many mouths to feed. I know it sounds crazy, but it's kind of how they work. All right, so shaking it. Doing a shake. And a drop. Just kind of get them to loosen up their little grip. Hopefully the queen is in there. She should be in there by now. There's still a few, though, aren't there? All right. They're holding on tight. Oh my. Let's see. Okay. So it looks like we got almost all of the bees out. The rest of these, I'm going to put this near the entrance of the hive once I close it up, and the rest of these will be able to smell the rest of the others because they'll have a stronger Nasinoff pheromone, and they'll end up going to the hive before it gets too dark. Alright. So, we got the hive here. They're making a really loud fanning sound. I'm going to get you guys some close-ups now. Thanks for sticking around for the field trip. Alright, this is where it's going to get even more fun. Hang on, I'm going to put you down for a second as I put my glove back on. Give you a nice good close-up. So that's the inside of the hive right now. You can see tons of them are sticking their little rears up, trying to tell the rest of the bees where to go. This is the main entrance. Once this is all closed up, this is how they're going to be flying in and out. There's some other entrances, and this is a little guide that's going to be around a plexiglass window. So when next time we get to see each other, if you guys get to come on over here in the next couple of months, which I hope so, we'll be able to open this up and look through some plexiglass so we can see the inside of the hive without having to wear any suits. Okay, so now I'm going to close up the hive. Let's see if I can get a nice close-up view of them first, because why not? How in focus can we get? They're darn cute. And the coolest thing, wish you could smell it, but I stick my nose almost all the way in, and I can smell the lemony smell. It's a really nice smell. So, when bees are excited about their home, they smell like lemons and lemongrass. When bees are angry, they also release a pheromone, a scent to tell the other bees something. That I'm angry and there's something that I'm angry about, probably a predator. So whenever they get angry, they get defensive and they smell like bananas. So the smell of banana is called our alarm pheromone. So if you're ever near a beehive and you get really close to it and you breathe on it, first off, you shouldn't do that anyway. But if you have just eaten bananas, it will get the bees angry. So beekeepers try not to eat bananas right before they work with bees. You guys, I'm going to close this hive up. I've got this little top here and these other bars here that they're going to build comb off of, and a roof that's going to be on top of it. But other than that, it's just loading things in. So I'm going to say adios. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you had a really fun time. And I expect I'll try to answer whatever questions you have, and you can write them in the comments. And next time maybe we'll FaceTime if I'm working with the bees, and you can ask a million questions. I'll have the speaker on so we can talk the whole time. Anyway, I hope you guys are having fun. I love both your guys' dance moves. I wish I was dancing with you guys right now. And I can't wait to hear what kind of adventures you guys have been able to have, even though you've, just like the rest of us, have been mostly stuck at home. But I'm sure you guys are coming up with some things because you're really clever. All right, take care, you guys. Almost. Gotta get my glove off. Anticlimactic. All right, bye.